said, I am a dancer / entrepreneur. I met him recently through my friend Mark, who's sitting up here. And when he told me he was having a creative morning to reflect on just anything, including my journey, I was like, oh, okay, let me see what I can pull together. But this actually made me really nervous because I'm not used to public speaking. So thank you guys for being here today. I did meet a few people in the audience, Danny and Shabeli, I think. So thanks for making me feel a bit more comfortable up here. I'm gonna pull out my phone because I have tons of notes and that's what I'm gonna read from. So, oh my God, I would love that. Thank you. Awesome. Yes, go ahead and give me a little click. There we go, reflection. So it's funny because even as I was sitting here and he's introducing me, I'm like, I'm used to having some music play, I'm used to having some stretching going on. So if you guys would like to really quickly just join me for a quick stretch, I would love that, yeah? Here we go. Yes. Just follow along. We're just gonna start with just raising our arms up overhead, roll the wrists. Nice, yes. Take a deep breath in. And exhale, let the arms drop. Use that right arm, just kind of stretch it to the side. Yes, other side. And I do this every morning, so I don't know about you. We're gonna do one more. You're gonna get your right arm, reach back. Reach and grab that elbow, and then just stretch over to the side. Nice, and we're gonna do one more side. Yes, class, you guys are great. This is amazing already. Nice, and then roll the wrist one more time. Nice, and just shoulder shrug. Just say hi to my neighbor really quickly. Yeah.
Hi.
Good morning. Nice. Thanks guys so much. That makes me feel way more at home. All right. I just want to get a raise of hands of how many of you actually like to dance. Okay. That's honest, thank you. My question to you is, when is the last time you danced? And you can go ahead and click this because we already did a little moment of stretching. When is the last time you danced? Was it at a wedding? Was it in a car? Was it in your shower? Was it at the club? Was it in class or maybe in your room when no one was watching? No matter who you are, you have probably danced at some point in your life, whether it be tapping your foot to that beat or nodding your head to your favorite song. Maybe it's snapping your fingers or a little two-step, but dance is a universal language. And no matter where you are in the world, it's something that connects us all as a species. Music and dance, to me, are two of God's most precious gifts, and I'm excited to share a little bit about what it means to me and why I'm here in front of you today. All right, are you ready?
Yes.
All right, a little bit about me. So like I said, my name is David Slaney, dancer entrepreneur. I am used to standing on stages in front of hundreds of people. You've heard him say a little bit about my resume, and that's easy for me to do, but standing in front of like a crowd full of strangers and speaking on a mic makes me extremely nervous. So that's one thing you'll get to know about me. People always say, well, how is that possible? You know, you dance all the time, but I think not speaking with my words is something that makes dance special for me. So being up here today is definitely a challenge, but I'm battling through that. My passion for this art form has always been there since I was a kid. You can go ahead and click it. But the reasons for what drive me continue to shift. Currently, my main focus is creating a safe space for others to tap into their bodies while using dance to develop their confidence, build compassion for themselves, and have some form of physical and mental therapy. Movement is healing for the body, but dance has the ability to transmute those emotions into something magical. There's me as a little baby. As a kid, I used dance as a way to escape issues and trauma in my life that I wasn't yet equipped to handle. I knew that it was something that I loved to do, but it wasn't until my high school dance teacher, Brenda Kincaid, told me to audition for a dance agency during my senior year. That's when I kind of believed in myself and figured out like, oh, this is something that I could follow as a career path. She saw the potential in me before I saw it in myself, and I'm really grateful that she did because my story would look very different. You can go ahead and click it. there's a little first picture of me today. Like you said earlier, I teach lots of styles of dance, but what I'm most known for is teaching heels. And I find that very contradictory when you look at me because that's not something you would think first off top of your head. But it's been a very amazing journey for me, and I've been able to create amazing spaces within our community, especially out here in Orange County. I teach at several different dance studios, and like he said, I have my own company called The Vixens, which is predominantly made up of females, but we do have males on the company as well. And it's a space for people who take classes on a weekly basis but don't have an opportunity to showcase those skills, mainly women. And this did start as a project when I was maybe 21, 22 years old, as something to just do for fun. I was in a dance community that had predominantly males on stage, and there's this structure when you watch dance shows that always has certain types of styles on stage, and when it got to the girls' piece, it was about 30 seconds long. The girls came out, did their thing, and then they went off stage. And I always found that so interesting because dance is predominantly a female environment, you know? So I'm like, why am I watching these shows and why are these girls having the smallest amount of time on stage? So I went along and created a project, highlighted a lot of dancers in the community, and I was like, we're gonna have our own moment and we're gonna showcase what we wanna do. And hence Vixens came along, me dancing in heels. That's just a little side note. I'll get back to that in, later. But for now, let's get back to reflecting on the journey. In our fast-paced society, taking time to look back and celebrate our accomplishments, no matter how big or small, isn't something that we get to do often. When I was initially invited to speak here and heard the topic was reflection, I realized that it was the perfect opportunity to do just that. Sit down and look at some of the things that I've accomplished. You can go ahead and click it. And just these are some of the pictures from the company that I'm doing now. I started dancing back in, I would say, high school, but before that, like most of us, my dad, my parents wanted me to do the things that they wanted me to do. And so I played sports, I did football, I ran track, and I was doing all of the things. My dad used to take me to football games when he was a coach, and I was a ball boy, so I would run on the field and I would collect the ball, I would help the football players get Gatorade. But instead of paying attention to the football players, I would always turn around and I would watch the cheerleaders, and I was so infatuated with what was going on, just the pom-poms, the dance routines, and I would always get in trouble because I was never doing what I was supposed to do. This story to me is special because this was planting the seed to do what I was meant to do long before I even knew that I was going to do it. So far as to, I would be copying the cheerleaders like on the sidelines, and there was a game where a coach came down from the bleachers to tell my dad, like, I think your son should try out for, something dance related. And that definitely was a conversation that didn't go well, but I followed my own path. And you guys remember the yellow pages? We're all old enough to remember those, right? I took out the yellow pages and I looked up local dance studios on my own and went up to my father and was like, this is something I really want to do, and luckily found some spaces, and that just kind of just boosted the trajectory from there. I never really had someone telling me to do it. It was always something that I just wanted to do, and I'm really grateful that I was able to follow that path. After a high school dance team, I was able to just teach at my local dance studios, and again, creating the pathway forward to doing what I'm doing now. I got started at Disney around 2011, right after high school. A friend of mine said, hey, I have an audition for this show called High School Musical 3, we should go. I love the movie, so I said, why not, But I had no intentions on dancing for Disney. I wasn't really a Disneyland person growing up. But I ended up doing almost 10 years there, so it was amazing, and I learned so much, made some of my best friends. And how many of you guys like Disneyland in here? Yeah, that's awesome. Lion King was the last show that I got to do there, and I thought that was a very special thing to do just because it was a movie that I loved growing up. Hello. And I think having the ability to just dance for people from all around the world definitely helped me, when it comes to dance, interact with people from all different backgrounds. I think we get so used to, especially in like a 9 to 5 lifestyle, you get so used to seeing the same people all the time and having the same type of structured routine. And what I love about dance is that I get to connect with different people from all over. And for at least an hour, like no matter where you're from, what you're doing, who you voted for, like we're in this room together and we just get to love something. And I think that's just a very special thing. Going back to a little bit about me before we move forward into this vixen thing. But when YouTube started becoming big about in the late 2000s, that's when I started putting content up, like most creators. And I think that's what really started helping my producing and directing skills. I didn't post any videos on here, but I will share my Instagram after this. And if you want to see, you can check that out. I joined this SoCal dance community, and some of you may have friends a part of that. Some of you may not, but most of us remember that show on MTV called America's Best Dance Crew. Well, that is something that was very inspiring to me. And when I moved to Orange County and started working at Disneyland, I found so many dancers that were a part of that scene. And so I too joined some teams. Some of you may know them, some of you may not, but Barcada Modern was one of them. There was a studio called Boogie Zone, which is now Epicenter in Torrance, Mischief Makers, and now Vixen's Dance. And what led me to creating this, like I said, was seeing a need for just a space in the community that was supportive for women. And it's like, I didn't start that way. It started just as something fun, but as the years went on, the women of my company started to express to me like how important this was and how it was becoming bigger than just like us being on stage and us having fun. Yes, it's heels. Yes, it's perceived as something maybe sexy or sensual to the naked eye, but in reality, it was really a place for these women to come together and not feel ashamed, to do something that felt empowering, to encourage each other. And I just so happened to be the person that is providing that space. And I just fell in love. It's forced me to become a different person. It's forced me to show up differently. And I just love what I do. It's just amazing. You can go ahead and click it. There's confidence in vulnerability. Obviously, this is just me stretching and sharing what I love to do. I want to talk a little bit about the company. You can click it again. Here are some photos. This was me in China, the first time that I ever got to travel internationally, which I just, again, huge experience. Standing in a room full of people who don't speak your language goes back to what I said in the beginning. And I was like, how am I going to do this? They don't even know what I'm saying. But I did have a translator. And I did learn how to count, and I think like that was the most important thing, just trying to understand them on some type of level. A quick side note, this was such a special experience. I went back 3 different times to this same studio, and the second year that I went, a student wrote me a letter at the end of the program, and she learned English while I was away, just so she could write this letter to me and express how important it was that I was there in her experience, and I hold on to that so dearly because that is just incredible. This is Movement Lifestyle, a studio that I teach at in Los Angeles, and just some footage of me working with my dancers here. I wanted to create, and I didn't want to wait for a job to have to do that for me. I wanted to have fun and create a space that I wish I had coming up as a dancer. We just recently had a performance in World of Dance, for World of Dance. Some of you guys know that show from, I think it's NBC, I'm not too sure. But it's been around a very, very long time before it was on TV, and they still have competitions all throughout the United States and different parts of the globe. We just performed in Houston, and it was an amazing experience. Our next performance is in Oxnard, California. Not that any of you will be going, but just something to share. We currently operate in Orange County. There's a dance studio called Millennium Dance Complex. There's an Orange County location, and that's where my dancers rehearse. There's online tutorials that I do, and I'm not sure if some of you are familiar with Steezy Studio. Steezy Studio has an online global platform for anybody who's interested in any style of dance, and you can learn it from like the comfort of your living room. And it got really popular during the pandemic when people were stuck at home and there was nothing to do. And I've been working with that platform since the beginning. That was a really interesting experience as well, seeing so many people connect with you that you didn't know. definitely helped me get through that depressive moment in time that we all try not to go back to, but definitely grateful for it because I was able to connect with a lot of different people in a lot of different ways. You can go ahead and click it forward. When was the last time that you felt vulnerable? So real question here, because the theme of today's event is reflection. And as a dancer, that's something that we are always doing, is like looking in the mirror. Everyone looks in the mirror, so this is something that I think we can all relate to, right? So my question to you is, when is the last time that you looked in the mirror and told yourself that you loved yourself? Real question. Because we all got ready this morning, right? We all brushed our teeth. Did you stop and pause and be like, you look great, I love you. Yeah. We often critique our appearances instead of giving ourselves the positive affirmations that we need in order to see ourselves in a manner that benefits us. As a dancer, I'm hyper aware of my body. And because of constant critiques and rejection, it is crucial that I create a healthy relationship with self. Can you imagine if I did that this whole time? Dancing helps us learn to love what we see when we look at ourselves in the mirror. I teach my clients to view themselves differently and use our private lessons as an opportunity to affirm themselves, especially when it comes to heels. It is a challenging skill to obtain, but it's incredibly empowering, like anything else that you take the time to do. This space for me, teaching, not here, but being in the dance studio is extremely special just because it allows people a chance to express themselves unapologetically. Like being up here, I feel very restricted. I feel very much like I have to present myself in a certain way to communicate with you guys on a level that is we can all understand and we can all receive. But in the dance class, I'm commanding the stage and here we are, let's go, let's get ready. I'm pouring into people, it's excitement. It's so much more engaging and I don't have to hold back, in those spaces. The dance studio allows me to do that, and it also gives people a way to have a conversation that they may not be able to have with words, Sometimes you want to yell, sometimes you want to scream, sometimes you want to feel sexy, sometimes you want to feel sad, and sometimes you want to get that out without having to have a conversation. Sometimes journaling, and sometimes those things aren't always a way for people to express that, and I think movement is something that we can all relate to, Almost done here, you guys. Many of you may not find dance interesting, and that's perfectly okay. My hope is that you see that it can be much more than just remembering a couple of steps. Dance is vulnerable, and looking in the mirror is vulnerable, and sharing with you all today is definitely vulnerable. I've personally been able to heal so many aspects of my life through dance, but not everyone may share that same experience. My hope for everyone here today is that you give yourself permission to express yourself and allow yourself to be just a little bit more vulnerable with the things that you do. You can go ahead and click it. People are only a reflection of what's already inside of you. Have you guys heard that phrase before? If you haven't, welcome. I use it often because that's what my mentors would say to me. They say, you're seeing something in me because it's already in you, The reason you've been pulled to me or you're attracted to me is because there's something in you that you are trying to release, and that's the reason we're working together. And I believe this sentiment so much. I think that's why people love entertainment. We sit down and we're watching these performers, whether it's through a screen or live on stage, and you're just, there's something that they're doing on stage that is already inside of you, but they're able to pull that out, yeah? I use this analogy with a lot of my dancers, and I use it in my private lessons all the time. A lot of times, you can go ahead and click it one more time. Yeah, thank you. So for me, I'm gonna close with what am I looking forward to in the future. I did write something down and I thought it was corny, but I'm gonna say it anyway. But that little saying in your driver's side mirror, that objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. I tried to tie it in somehow and make it cute, reflections. So I'm like, now I'm looking into my future because we don't want to live behind, A lot of times people tend to get stuck in the past, either wishing things could be different or remembering how things used to be. Because dance is constantly evolving, it forces me to grow as an individual. there's never a place in dance where we as performers feel like we know it all. At least we shouldn't. Dance has come such a long way, even from when I was a kid, and it's exciting to see all of the progress, especially with all the accessibility online these days. For me, as long as I can continue to find ways to give back to dance, I will always be happy because it's given so much to me. Thank you for your time. Thanks for listening to my story. And the next time your favorite song comes on, I hope that you give yourself permission to dance. I did want to open the space for a quick Q&A, and